All right, welcome.
Hooray!
Oh, welcome to, is it too much to say women watching West Wing?
Women, it's a little bit of a
The
tongue
women
twister.
of West Wing?
West Wing women, that's a
Girl.
little too plain.
Girls watching West Wing. It's like Girls Gone Wild, but for people who listen to NPR.
Yeah.
Hello, people of the internet. I'm here with my good friend, Sallie.
Hello.
There she is.
That's
and
me.
we really love the West Wing.
Yes.
With a great passion.
As I love all things, usually.
That's a good way to love things.
It is my tendency to be... passion's a better word than obsession, so... Yeah.
It's more socially acceptable,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about James McAvoy.
Literally everything.
Yes, it's true. So, Sallie and I are, we were big fans of Gilmore Girls first, I would say, right?
Yes.
Were you you were on the Gilmore train before you were on
for sure.
Wing.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's just call it The Wing.
The Wing. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm on board. Yes, Gilmore Girls a long time ago. Have loved that. Loved long time.
Loved long time.
So, yeah, The West Wing is pretty recent.
How did the West Wing come about in your viewing life? Like, did somebody say, oh my gosh, you have to watch this? Because this came out in, what, 1990?
You know?
Oh,
a while
I could look it up.
Yeah, let's look it up. Let's actually know
let's
things.
Let's actually ask the internet.
It really just came about with maybe somebody recommended it or said it was good. No. I'm being totally crazy.
Was it me? You can tell people if it was me.
It was from the newsroom. It was from watching the newsroom and being like, hey, wait a minute, I really am kind of obsessed with this quickness and this walking, talking situation and just everything about it. And then obviously realized that
That's amazing.
The other brainchild of Sorkin was The West Wing. So, and then it being all on Netflix. I really love to start things that already have an ending.
Yes. That is appealing.
So that I can binge watch in full effect.
That's a whole different topic, the whole, like, binge watch phenomenon, because we can't do that with life. So I feel like we try to outsource it. We're like, this definitely has an ending, and somebody knows where it's going, and this just feels like, I don't know.
Exactly. A clear beginning, middle, and end.
1999. That's the year that it came out. Same year that Will Smith's album, Millennium, came out. I'm sure we were all thinking that. So we just watched the first episode together. We've both already seen this show. But yeah, let's talk about some of the characters.
First I was gonna say, speaking of having seen the show, one of the things that struck me while we were watching is the rewatchability of it. There are so many series that I'm like, if I just watched it, I probably watched the pilot in the last 2 weeks of West Wing and still could sit through it with no pause. So the rewatchability is a huge draw.
That is a good factor.
Me. Yeah, that you don't. Because there's so much going on in any given episode that you're not like, oh, this is exactly what happens for every storyline.
Yeah. And the Netflix descriptions they never do it justice.
Right.
They always pick the most obscure parts of it to be like, this is what happens in the episode. Exactly. And usually it has to do with the legislation that they're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's never about like, oh, Josh and Donna might have had a flirtatious moment in this one.
Right.
Or Sam Seaborn might have accidentally done this. So,
a multitude of things.
I think the cryptic descriptions on Netflix for each episode makes it even more watchable.
Yeah.
Because you don't actually remember what happens in each episode.
That you're like, yeah, what was this? And
then,
yeah.
There are some really memorable episodes.
Yes.
Like, if you are a big West Wing fan, and I say, like, Gaza, or Election Day in season 7, or Two Cathedrals, or 20 Hours in America. Yeah.
Yeah, there are big moments. There are definitely ones that stand out, which I guess now, if we're going to go with this, is a good time to mention the spoiler free.
We'll try not to spoil things.
Yes, we'll try to
we'll say earmuffs, and you'll have approximately 4 seconds.
I think we can try our best to avoid it.
Yeah.
So
we'll try to be good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can just talk about different things. What hit you from this episode that you wanted to talk about? I mean, so it opens on Rob Lowe. I mean, which Rob Lowe, well, he's just the man.
He is a very pretty man. Especially young Rob Lowe, which no disrespect to current Rob Lowe.
No, but he doesn't age.
No, he really doesn't. But young Rob Lowe is just a pretty man, and I hate to start out with such an adjective.
But
I promise we have deeper thoughts on all of these things.
No, we don't.
But it's hard to ignore for a little bit.
It's true. So it opens with him, and I think it was supposed to. He is it's an ensemble cast.
Yeah.
So we've got Rob Lowe, Allison Janney as CJ, and she's brilliant in terms of a comedian.
Yes.
You wouldn't know Allison Janney as perhaps the mom in Juno.
Mm-hmm.
She was also in Drop Dead Gorgeous with Kirsten Dunst.
And she's now in Mom, the show Mom.
Oh, good.
I think she was just nominated or won an award for.
Oh, way to go.
Maybe just nominated. Maybe I could do research.
Way to go, CJ.
Yeah.
We're proud of you.
And that's a comedy. So her comedic timing and efforts in the whole series are not to be understated.
Yeah.
She's
got it going on. Josh Lyman, who's played by Bradley Whitford. Who I guess I'd seen him before because he was in, was it Billy Madison? Billy Madison.
Oh my gosh.
So up until.
Just made that connection.
Yes.
Wow.
You're welcome.
Wow.
So up until this, I think, from what I've stalked on YouTube,
oh my gosh.
he had played a lot of kind of an antagonistic, like jerk face kind of roles. And so this one is.
I'm going to need a second because of the Billy Madison
right.
connection. My mind is a little. Like, whoa.
I know. And Josh is, let it be known, he is my favorite. Bradley Whitford is just very charming and smart.
We are both, for the Sam Seaborn pretty talk, we are both Josh Lyman girls,
Josh Lyman.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's on Twitter, and I'm going to keep tweeting at him until he responds.
Come on the show,
life
Bradley.
Goal. Yeah, we're going to make it happen. Richard Schiff plays Toby. Toby is the communications director. How do you describe Toby?
I don't know, but one of the things that I love is that Richard Schiff is the most, like, the other people sort of make their characters. Like Allison Janney turned CJ into what she was. Same with Bradley Whitford and Sam Seaborn. But Richard Schiff and Toby it's a different type of, like, the way he plays him is just...
He's Toby.
Yeah.
He's probably not actually
he's probably
Toby.
A much more pleasant person.
Hopefully.
But the way that... Yeah, I mean, Toby was such an interesting character, is such an interesting character.
He has such a strong sense of justice.
Yes.
So he's kind of the crusader of the bunch, and you'll definitely see that later on in the series with some pretty big implications.
Yeah.
But he also has this, he's very sarcastic, very biting, but still likable enough.
Likable at times. He is probably the character I have the most trouble with, but in the good way when you have trouble. When you, he has moments where I don't like him, but in the way you're not supposed to like him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There are other
He's
characters.
supposed to be kind of like curmudgeon.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And he does it perfectly. It is a perfect, like, there are so many moments where you're just like, Toby, please stop doing what you're doing. So Richard Schiff just plays that wonderfully.
And also very good with comedy. And his delivery is so dry.
Yes.
Like, it's...
Oh, yeah.
The writing on the show in general. I mean, it's Aaron Sorkin, which if you haven't watched The Newsroom, but you've seen The Social Network, that was Sorkin. It's just, I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah.
It's very wordy.
It is. I have people, and it's similar to the Gilmore Girls wit of that, like, it's almost, it's unrealistic in a lot of aspects. In a lot of, I know quick-witted people. I like to think that I sometimes can be a quick-witted person.
I like to think you are.
And I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And still, it's to have so many quick talkers and fast thinkers with that kind of sharp, stinging wit is not, you don't find that often in real life.
That's
but
so true.
It makes it so fun to watch, really.
Yeah, you've got to pay attention. It's not the kind, if you're going to sit down and watch it, you need to sit down and listen to it. You can't be like zoning in and out because you'll miss a step and you'll be out of, it's like jump rope. You just don't want to miss that. You'll just get tangled in a
It's a good time to confess to our listeners that I do watch The West Wing with subtitles on.
Do you really?
I really do. And this is maybe a super nerdy thing for me to do, or maybe it speaks to my... No, I mean, I like to think I'm also a pretty intelligent person, but...
How else do you like to think of yourself?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's jump into that.
This couch isn't long enough for you to
have
a session.
No, but... It makes it so much when I can see the words they're talking about and the they're naming names so quickly and bills and all different types of things that they're rambling off at like 100 miles per hour. I like those subtitles.
That's just so funny.
I know, it's strange. Some people hate it, and I really don't.
I don't even like reading subtitles for movies where they're necessary.
Yeah.
It's just a little stressful for me.
I think it's, now I'm used to it. It is easy for me to watch and not read, and only read when I'm like, wait, what? So.
Word.
Yeah.
It's like an opera.
Yeah.
I do watch, now I'm paranoid that people think I don't watch cool movies. I've seen Amelie many times, and operas. One thing I would like to point out in this first episode, that the law student, there's like a woman who Sam Seaborn has an evening with, which is funny. And she's supposed to be a law student, and she gets I almost said a text. She gets a page that POTUS was in a bicycle accident. Mm-hmm. And I'm just wondering, at what point in the general history of the United States did the public decide that they learned that POTUS stands for President of the United States?
It's funny that you say that, Andrea, because I wrote the exact same note down. But I was like, is this where we get POTUS? Like, I don't know the history.
Well, I think,
don't know. I mean, surely POTUS has been a common thing. So
right, but general
it's
knowledge.
Odd that they wrote it in that way that somebody wouldn't know POTUS. Because people nowadays, you say POTUS, would know immediately.
Yeah.
So,
and this was 99, so like AOL was probably one year old. The internet was how old? I don't know. So our access to information is not.
I was
the
9
same.
Years old, if that helps.
You were just a wee lass.
Just a wee lass.
A wee little lass.
So yes, I wasn't watching The West Wing at that point in life. Yeah.
So I mean, it would be interesting to get the perspective of someone who was watching it in real time.
Yeah, that's very true.
They're especially in was it season 3, right around 9/11, they had to do a special episode.
Isaac and Ishmael. Yes. They inserted in because, and it's strange when you're watching if you don't know the timing of it, because season 2 is a very big cliffhanger. Right. Ends without any spoilers, ends in a moment that you expect them to pick up literally in that moment in the first episode. Yeah. And instead, where they pick up is the second and third episode, because they inserted in this sort of timely episode for 9/11. Yeah, speaking of just the fact that it's kind of an older show, but it still does have that like timeless little black dress feel to it, if you will. And I did. Except for, like the technology. They're getting pages, which do doctors even get pages anymore? I don't think so. I think R.I.P. to the pagers of the world. Pager. I never had a pager, so. And Gilmore Girls had a pager. Yes. Had pagers involved. And a sidekick. Yes, the sidekicks. Oh, I forgot about the sidekicks. I think I'd like to make a Venn diagram of all the things that Gilmore Girls and The West Wing have in common, and then just stand right in the middle of it and say, there's me, the world I want to live in. And then pagers. Yeah. So there's that. But anyway, so the woman that Sam Seaborn has this evening with, a woman of the night, if you will. I don't know if you saw the movie Saint Vincent. I have not yet. No. Where they reference that. It's actually pretty good. Is it wonderful? Okay. Yeah. It's Melissa McCarthy and Bill Murray. It's on my list, which is quite a lengthy list, but it is on there. Yeah. I saw it on an airplane, so I was pretty glad to just not be dead. Yeah. Yeah, that woman is, I remember her from Keeping the Faith. Have you ever seen that movie with Ben Stiller and Edward Norton? And, yeah, she plays this really annoying girl who's obsessed with working out, and she's trying to go on a date with Ben Stiller, who's a rabbi. But anyway, so that's her. So shout out to that little Easter egg. I do think the intros to everyone are good tells of their characters, sort of. Even up to Martin Sheen, even up to POTUS's intro. But in the very beginning, except maybe Sam's, but Josh is asleep at his desk. but he's at work. He's been at work all night. So you have this mixture of, okay, he's asleep at his desk, but he's also been there all night. It's this work play kind of a mix that's a good tell of Josh. And then CJ is being charming and witty, talking to a stranger, and Toby's being a curmudgeon on a plane.
Airplane.
And I think they're a very good foreshadowing or portrait of what their character is going to look like. Yeah. Without realizing it, of course, at that time.
And I think, they're just so smart. I mean, Aaron Sorkin is just a genius. Yes. The way he just structures everything. And the way that they've got, there's plot obviously going on. There's different things in each episode, but the way they map it out is so good. The way that they explain a lot of the plot exposition for the whole series is by having a classroom of children there, and Sam has to say, like, hey, this is who I am, this is what my job is, and try to kind of, in a way that even, a fourth grader could understand. Exactly. Which is good, because my understanding of politics is probably a fourth grade level. Although I honestly do feel like I understand politics better because of The West Wing.
I absolutely do. And even if I didn't understand it directly from watching, that I found myself starting to look things up and to be like, wait a minute, I don't know exactly how this works, so I'm going to Google this. I was a little worried about how often I was Googling like maps of the West Wing. West Wing is very famous for the walk and talk. So there's a lot of times where I'm like, where are you? Are these people's offices actually right here? So I have a lot of search history about where's the office.
But you were really about like the physical, like the actual West Wing. Yeah. I did a lot of Google searching of the different acronyms. Unfortunately, this is how little I knew. I was like, what's the GOP? Like, I don't know. Like, I could understand contextually what things were, but I didn't understand what they actually stood for. Absolutely. Or like DOJ or up on the
which, for our listeners' knowledge, the West Wing is not actually laid out the way that our beloved West Wing is.
Spoiler alert.
And I did wonder sometimes in the walk and talks, you sort of get lost with where they are, and sometimes I'm like, okay, really, they're just going around in a circle.
They gotta get their cardio somehow.
In one scene in the pilot, I made a note of that Leo like walks through Miss Lanningham's office and into the Oval Office, puts something on the desk, walks back out through the office and like down the hall, and then back around to his office. Well, his office has a direct door to the Oval Office. So he really could have gotten there much faster, but we would not have had time for his dialogue and the rest of his little scene. So because I try and pay attention to that, like, okay, you're really just walking just to talk.
Yeah. I mean, he probably would have gotten to his office a lot sooner had you told him where it is. Yeah. You could have been like, Leo.
I know.
I know where you need to go.
Direct line to these characters.
It seemed like there were a lot of extras in the first episode. Maybe there are a lot of extras in general.
There's a lot of people milling around.
It's you know what? I think it just added to the sense that it was like a busy place and there was a lot going on.
Absolutely.
I wish I could have been an extra on.
I could have been one of the fourth grade students.
Oh my gosh. That's so true. That makes the fact that I would want to go out with Bradley Whitford kind of scary.
Does it? Yeah.
He would have been too old.
Yes,
that would have been bad.
Just a smidge.
I also wish I could have been an extra on Lost. Did you ever watch Lost?
I did not. No.
Oh, well, we'll do a different podcast for that. But I wish I wanted to go to Hawaii while I was filming. What else about The Wing?
Oh man.
I mean,
one thing, this is the tiniest things stick out to me, but really, Donna's never brought Josh a cup of coffee? I sort of am surprised by that. I know that is silly that's what caught me off guard, but I mean, like, working in an office environment, like, I would bring my friends, even just regular coworkers, if I'm going somewhere, it's like, oh, you want some coffee, or oh, you want a drink, or where I'm going, or whatever. It's just odd to me to put that in there. And I get the point of, this is a dire situation. Josh might be fired.
Yeah.
But it's funny that those little things stick out to me. Like, okay, what? She's never brought, like, and she's his assistant. So, I mean,
yeah,
that's maybe that speaks to their more parallel relationship instead of.
Guys, if you haven't watched West Wing, I mean, then you don't know just how much wonderful tension there is between Josh and Donna throughout the years.
Yeah.
It is the will they or won't they. Mm-hmm. And honestly, throughout every season, it's like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. And it's not a major story either. I think that's why there's so much doubt as to whether they will or they won't, because it is so subtle.
It is so subtle. And you have moments, or you have moments where it's not, where they have very strong moments, and then nothing ever comes of it.
Nothing. So it's just like my life.
Yeah. It's strange.
So, I mean, we're not going to say if they will or they won't, but it's not the kind of show where it's built around, there's no real relationship, romantic relationship, drama.
Right.
For the most part. Right. There's like, you know, a couple girlfriends here and there.
Yeah.
But it's never the impetus for the story.
Which I appreciate. I appreciate having real storyline. I appreciate that Sorkin does not treat viewers, they don't need to be spoon-fed information. We're allowed to sort of keep up on our own, and you know, well, I was about to say a spoiler, but I will not.
Don't do it.
I will not.
Don't resist the spoil.
It's not so much a spoiler. There is a monologue in the future of the series that involves several lines of Latin, unexplained Latin. And it's interesting as a viewer to watch that and to know that the writer just expects you to know what's happening or to get the gist of the scene, even if, you know, you don't speak Latin, which
we don't.
We don't.
No, I don't think many people do.
Many people not speak Latin.
It's a dead language.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the West Wing, it is delightful, and it is such an ensemble cast. I mean, the first episode is really just kind of laying out who's who, like what's the feel of the show. A lot of the music, you know, that kind of changes throughout the years, as well as the cinematography.
Yeah.
You know, it started in 1999, so by the time you're halfway through, I think, wasn't it after the 4th season that Aaron Sorkin left? I think, and there are 7 seasons. And all of them were good.
Yes.
I was afraid one of the leads that you see in the first episode, who's obviously, I mean, it's an ensemble cast, but one of them leaves after four seasons, along with Aaron Sorkin as an executive producer.
Yeah.
So I was nervous about if the show could kind of keep going, if the things that I loved about it were going to change, because as we all know with Gilmore Girls, when the writers left, everything went to pot, and you couldn't trust anyone.
No. Yeah, still scarred by that.
I know.
But yes, I was worried about that too. I actually sort of stopped watching around the 4th season for a little bit because
you stalled.
Not because it got bad, but because I was so scared for it.
You didn't want to lose that loving feeling.
Like, I'm just gonna leave these last wonderful episodes and make them last forever.
And you had so many seasons left.
I did. I had 3.5 seasons left when I stalled. But when I finally picked it up, obviously I picked it up again very quickly. And it's weird for me to hear people, because some people do say that, some people do parallel Gilmore Girls and West Wing in the sense that they go downhill after the writers leave. And I really didn't get that feeling. No. I mean, there are moments, of course, that are like, well, I don't know.
Sorkin would
have done that. Yeah, but
but
just
rare.
Watching it organically, it doesn't, if you're not thinking about it, you're not thinking,
no,
this is not up to par.
Yeah, I thought it was very strong. You know, they kind of shift around. The cast changes some. There are some people, just like ER, you know, kind of a similar feel to it. There are some cast members that stay for the whole 7 seasons, but then also, you know, some that leave and that you're okay with, and some that are
introduced, and
we don't even have Charlie yet.
Oh, yes. Ugh. But there are some that are introduced later in the season that I was like, all right, like, you're going to introduce... I mean, this isn't giving anything away because the cover art on Netflix or anywhere you watch it has many characters that you don't see for a while. So there are many characters that I was like, how are these people going to come in and ruin my West Wing?
It's
and I loved all of them.
It's true. Almost all. I mean, we've got... what's his name? Is it Alan? Alan A. something.
Mash.
Alden? Arkin? I'll look it up.
Got it.
Jimmy Smits as well.
Yes, Jimmy Smits
he was
near and dear.
Very good. Kristen Chenoweth, who wasn't like a big role. It's strange to me the people that they picked to put on the.
Yeah.
I almost said album.
Yeah, because let's talk that Rob Lowe is not on it.
Oh, he's got to have a bitter basket about that.
Yeah, that's very interesting to me. That of all the people they chose.
Well, you know, he didn't have... Alda. Okay, yeah. I was pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rob Lowe, he has 2 really great audiobooks. They're also written books as well, but if you have the opportunity to listen to Rob Lowe, you may as well. I say.
Yeah.
And he talks about his time on the West Wing and his decision to leave, maybe.
Well,
at some point, which you don't know when that'll happen.
Yeah.
It might be sometime. But that's like a very big reason why I listened to the audiobooks. I wanted to get all
the
juicy
inside
details.
Scoop. Yeah.
And it was a hit. The West Wing was a hit in
Yeah.
its heyday. So, I mean, it's a good show. Just because it's not from this common, most recent era doesn't mean it's not good.
So while we're singing the praises, we also have to mention our mutual dislike.
We have to trash talk
for a certain female character introduced.
Yeah, Mandy.
Yeah.
What's that? She got.
I think it's pretty from the from the forums that I've read, being the nerd that I am. I think it's
That's implied when you say from the forums that I've read.
I think it's a universally held opinion of that character.
Yeah.
That, and no disrespect to I don't think it's a well-written character, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know that the actress, what's her name?
Oh, I don't know.
Something Kelly. She's on One Tree Hill.
Oh, well, that's
and she's
good.
much more delightful on One Tree Hill. But I mean, in her very first scene, you're annoyed with her because she's
wearing a beret over all of her hair.
Let's talk about that.
It's very 90s, but yeah, she's just being very It was like she was being
pompous,
Hollywood in DC.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just a turn off with all of these characters who even with their grand intellect do not make you feel dumb.
Yeah. Everyone else is much more likable.
Yes, they're much more likable, and she was not.
No. So there's that one. But there are a lot of characters that have yet to come. Josh Malina plays what's his name on the show?
Will Bailey.
Will Bailey.
Yeah.
He comes around.
He's pretty great.
as a speechwriter, and
yeah.
And what's great over 7 years is that you get to see different campaign seasons.
Yes.
So obviously he Bartlett is the president, played by good old Mr. Sheen.
Yes.
And I love how they introduce him.
It is
almost
really
at the very
wonderful.
end of the episode.
I made a note about that too, because you really sort of forget, even in rewatching, I forget that like this whole show is centered around him, and oh wait, where is he this entire first 40 minutes or whatever, and then he comes in just the grandest fashion. Yeah. And let it not go unnoticed that his first line is, "I am the Lord your God."
Yes. Yeah.
It's an interesting bit of not foreshadowing of him being godlike, but
it gives him a presence.
He has this
booming voice.
Yeah, that he is this force to be reckoned with in the show, for sure.
And I love it because so much. I mean, obviously, it's a Democratic Party that's in the White House in this administration, but they deal with issues on both sides of the aisle and all of that kind of thing. I mean, maybe, I don't know what your take is on the actual politics on the show, but
I think you can get heavy one way or the other, but never in a
like if somebody isn't a Democrat, are they gonna like this show?
I would say
yes.
So yeah, I think that there is enough rebuttal of I think you get both sides of a lot of arguments. You get the adorable and wonderful Ainsley Hayes, who I just love.
Yeah,
I love her. Not being ashamed of being, hey, I'm this blonde, cute Republican, and this is who I am, but I'm just as smart as you, and I am just as deserving as you, and I am all of these things, and I really, she is one of my favorite female characters on the show. So I think that, and she gives Sam, at one point, she gives him a whole little diatribe about, I'm a Republican because this, and this. Mm-hmm. So I do think they do an okay job of always having somebody to argue the other side in a real way, not in just we should have this because we probably should have this.
Yeah. And as far as like, and I noticed aside from the woman of the night and her fondness for pot, it's a very clean show.
Yes.
Especially compared to what you'd see today. Like, this is nothing like House of Cards. Do you watch House of Cards?
Yes, I do.
So, I mean, I know this came out in 99 and things that basically are we're just not shocked by anything anymore.
Yeah.
But there's really not anything dirty on this show.
And it's not as heavy as I think you would expect it to be. There's definitely heavy subject matter, but you watch House of Cards and you almost can't watch, as addicting as it is, you almost can't watch too much of it in a row because it's very dark. It's dark. And very heavy.
You feel dark.
You feel dark.
You don't feel that way with
The West Wing. There's so many quips. There's so many, is that the suit you wore yesterday? Yeah.
Yeah.
You?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's so many of those just tiny lines thrown in that it keeps it, even though it seems like there's constantly peril and lives in balance, there is wit and humor and normalcy to it.
And I think a lot of each episode, the struggle is a struggle of integrity. Really, like, there's just very little black and white. It's like everything has a cost. Everything could be right depending on which way you look at it. You know, so it's really a struggle for the president and the administration to say, like, okay, what are we willing to compromise in the short run to get what we want in the long run?
Yes.
It's just a big chess game, really, like the politics of it. And then the press secretary role, I thought was also just very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wonder if any press secretaries in real life, though, are in any shade as sassy as CJ Craig.
I will be honest that I have,
or as coy.
Since I've been watching The West Wing, I have been known to turn on some
C-SPAN?
C-SPAN and some White House press briefings just to be like,
are they as sassy?
How off base is this show? Like, how, you look at House of Cards and they all cover sort of the same topics, the politics, the behind closed doors type thing, but they deal with them so differently.
Yeah.
And it's like, because really, House of Cards makes me hate politics. It makes me be like, you got to be kidding me.
You can't trust
this
anyone.
Is how
Everyone's
happening.
crooked. Yeah.
And The West Wing really just makes you like swell with pride of America after like every episode. You're like, oh, cheers to bipartisanship.
Yeah.
And all this stuff. And it's kind of interesting and would be interesting to have a more inside view of that.
It feels like a more the redemptive edge of House of Cards.
Yeah. I agree with that.
So I think it's delightful. I love The West Wing. I rewatch it all the time.
Yes.
Many different seasons.
It's very easy to do.
So maybe people should check it out. They can watch it.
Yep.
Watch it for yourself. Tell us who you like, who you don't like.
Yeah.
And
Mandy.
Mandy.
Yeah.
It gets really good. And like I said, throughout the different seasons, like the cinematography gets much more stylized.
Wouldn't be put off by the datedness.
Yeah, that's really the only thing to get past. But it's I feel like every episode's a hit.
I do too.
So enjoy the pilot and enjoy episode 2 when we get to it.
Yep.
That's it for episode 1 of The Wing.
We're gonna figure out the name.
Yeah, we don't know what the name is. So.
All
right. See ya.
Adios.